John, we were circling around the idea of socialism and communism a little bit. I wanted to ask you, given what you as a psychologist know about human beings, do you think that there's something fundamentally incompatible in that worldview with humanity? Or do you think, quote unquote, it hasn't been tried properly?
Oh, well, it hasn't been tried properly means that the world hasn't been fortunate enough to have me run it. That's the constant claim. Well, it hasn't been tried properly. What that means is, well, I understand this system deeply, and if I was in charge or people like me, then it would work. It's like, no, it wouldn't. That's what would happen is you'd be wiped out by the next batch that were even worse than you. That's what would happen. So it's such an arrogant claim that it hasn't been tried properly. But having said that, like, it's not, I understand the motivation for, like, the desire for an egalitarian distribution of valuable resources, and we should walk through that. So systems have a tendency, Marx commented on this, but it's much deeper than Marx's realization. Systems have a tendency to radically distribute resources unequally. And that's really destabilizing.
Yep.
So, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason is, as you get more, you're offered more. So I'm in a position now where I am offered an indefinite array of opportunities. And I don't need them. I'm not ungrateful for it, but once you're saturated with opportunities and your time is completely taken up, more opportunities can't be utilized. And so, and if you have money, well, it's way easier to make more money. I mean, you can lose it too, but it's way easier to make more money once you've got started. And so once you are educated, you have some capital, you have a connection network, and then let's say in addition to that, you're well known, you can just multiply that endlessly. But then on the other end of things, if you have nothing, well, you can't even afford to get started.
Yeah.
So like if you start a business, the most difficult customer to get is the first one. Once you have 10, getting 100 is not that hard. But getting from 0 to 1 is virtually impossible. And so 0 is a really tough, it's a hole that's really hard to climb out of. And it's not good for society to have a lot of people at 0. So there's this propensity for people to fall off the end and to degenerate down to 0, and another propensity for resources to aggregate in the hands of very, very small number of people. And look, it doesn't matter what dimension you measure that on. So if you look up among basketball players, you look at successful, number of points scored. There's a few people way out on the extreme. If you look at number of records sold, records produced, songs written, popular songs written, it's like 5 composers account for 95% of the classical repertoire. But it's only 5% of the music they wrote that's played. And so you see that happening in 2 ways there. And the problem with that is that it produces this radical inequality in society. And that's really unsettling because you have a mechanism that's very deeply embedded within you that runs, as far as we can tell, on serotonin, a fundamental brain chemical. And the degree to which serotonin regulates your negative emotion is dependent on your status within the group that you strive for status within. And what that means is that if you're on the bottom end of the status hierarchy, you're much more prone to negative emotion. And that actually hurts you physically. You'll die sooner, you'll age faster, you'll develop all the age-related diseases faster. It's a real calamity psychologically and physically. And so there's endless motivation to work against that tendency for resources to be distributed so unequally. The problem is we don't know how to do it. It's such a powerful force. We don't know how to do it and simultaneously maintain creative and productive endeavor, for example. So because you want everything to be more productive, right? Because you try to wipe out absolute poverty and maybe even give everyone you can a certain amount of luxury. And maybe that's even better for the planet because richer people tend to take better care of the environment. So you want absolute wealth to rise and you don't want inequality to become too extreme. But the systems that have been set up to manage that are not good at it. They don't work.